Historians are divided over two rival schemes, the so-called high and low chronologies. The dates I have given here belong to the high chronology, endorsed most recently by Brian Bosworth in his masterful study, The Legacy of Alexander. It is Bosworth's authority that has decided this matter for me, since I think both schemes have sound arguments and valid evidence behind them, as does a recently proposed hybrid that blends elements of the two. The ancient record of this era is frustratingly incomplete, even though two talented Greek historians wrote studies of it, and one of them was a witness to its major events. Hieronymus of Cardia was a Greek soldier of fortune who found himself at the center of the post-Alexander power struggle. His first-hand account, sometimes known by the title History of the Successors, was probably one of the great historical narratives written in antiquity, but it became extinct in the Darwinian process whereby widely copied school texts survived the end of the ancient world, while other works did not. Before its disappearance, however, it was mined for information by Arrian of Nicomedia, an intelligent Greek writer of the 2nd century A.D., as he prepared his own detailed chronicle of the years between 323 and 319. This work too has been lost, but one reader, Photius, the Patriarch of Constantinople, took notes on its contents in the 9th century A.D. Photius' sparse outline of Arrian, made for personal use and without regard for the needs of posterity, survives today under the title Events after Alexander, in essence a dim reflection at two removes of Hieronymus' account. There is, however, one Greek narrative of the post-Alexander period that brings us closer to the lost primary sources, and it survives intact. In the 1st century BC, Diodorus Siculus compiled a universal Greek history usually known as the Library. Diodorus, who was a middling good writer but no historian, gave artistic shape to the material he found, but muddled its chronology, reduced its detail, and omitted events that did not fit his plan. His shortcomings are many, but in treating the struggle for control of Alexander's empire in books 18 through 20 of the Library, he produced his best work, largely because he relied heavily on Hieronymus. Around the same time as Diodorus, a Roman writer, Pompeius Trogus, compiled a general survey of the Macedonian Empire titled Philippic History, but this work has utterly perished. Like Arrian's Events after Alexander, it is known through a thin and reductive summary, compiled probably in the 3rd century A.D. by another Roman, Justin. The most colourful but least straightforward accounts of this period come from the lives of Plutarch, the great Greek essayist and biographer of the late 1st and 2nd centuries A.D. Plutarch too mined the historical treatise of Hieronymus, along with other primary texts, but did so mostly in search of insights into character rather than a record of events. His interests were ethical more than historical. Nonetheless, I have cited him frequently in this book, along with other unconventional sources: Polyaenus, compiler of military stratagems, Athenaeus, collector of gossip and anecdotes, and the anonymous author of The Lives of the 10 Orators. These writers give insights, however unverifiable, into the personalities that dominate this age, and I have used them to convey those personalities, for I believe, as Plutarch did, that historical action cannot be understood outside the context of character. But judgment of character is a subjective affair. One has only to read the modern biographies of the players in the power struggle. In English alone there are recent lives of Lysimachus, Ptolemy, Eumenes, Phocion, Olympias, Seleucus, and Antigonus, to see how many questions of intention and motivation are open to dispute. It is a Rashomon-like experience, a witnessing of one set of events through many pairs of eyes. The perspective varies not only with changes of historical focus, but with changes of author, for some interpreters are inclined to see the worst impulses in the figures they deal with, others the best. One figure in this group has proved especially controversial. Surviving accounts of the Greek general Eumenes are strongly positive, but they are also clearly influenced by the favoritism of Hieronymus, who was Eumenes' friend and countryman, perhaps even his kinsman. Eumenes is shown not just as a brilliant tactician, full of tricks, inventions, and ruses,